So Glenn, when I was a kid, right, if it was your birthday, the place we went, if it was a real treat, if you'd been a good boy, was TGI Fridays. This is in the 90s in Greater Manchester. We used to go, it was near John Lewis, would go to TGI Fridays, and we would always have the same things. We'd always have these potato skins, right? So fast forward 30 years, it was my birthday a few weeks ago. And as a treat, not necessarily for me, but as, something nice we could do with the kids, Gemma arranged, booked a table at TGI Fridays. She said, we can finally go to TGI Fridays. You can show me what all the fuss is about with these potato skins, right? So I was quite excited. I mean, it's not a place I'd necessarily choose to go and eat if it was just me and her. But, I've got children. They were dead excited for it to be my birthday. So we got there and I was like, right, I'm gonna order these potato skins. And there was two on the list, two things, like small or share a portion. The share a portion was £15. And I was like, how many do you get on the small one? And how many do you get on the large one? And the waiter came over and he said, oh, you get 3 on the small one, or you get, I think he said you get 12 on the big one. I said, okay, let's have the big one then. So he brings it out, and they weren't potato skins. They were potato wedges. So a small wedge, and you didn't get 12. You only got 6. So for £15, you got, I'm not kidding, 6 potato wedges with a bit of cheese on them. And Gemma looked at me and she was like, this is the thing that you talk about, like with reverence from your childhood. I was like, no. When I was a kid, you got full potato skin. It had all sorts going on in it. And I'm sure it wasn't 15 quid for like 6 small things. But it really, I wouldn't say it ruined my birthday, but I was like, this is annoying because it's like, don't meet your heroes. Like, don't do things that you loved as a child now because they might disappoint you. The kids liked it. So that was fine. And, they had beer and the beer was cold. So that's, there was.
You had beer, just to clarify.
Well, I do let my children.
They didn't have beer. TGI Fridays had beer for you, not for your children. Yeah.
Yeah. My kids are 4 and 6 and aren't into beer.
Yeah. They're just straight up whiskey. Japanese whiskey. Yeah. Very, very high class children.
Oh, okay. Here's why I'm telling you that story.
Welcome to The Fix. Sit down with copywriting experts Nick O'Connor and Glenn Fisher as they review, discuss, and improve real-world copy sent in by you. This is The Fix.
There was a few elements of it that annoyed me. Not just that the quality had gone down since I was a kid, but what annoyed me was it was described as potato skins, and I was told I would get 12, which sounds like a lot. And then when it came, it was potato wedges and you only got 6. And the copy lesson I took away from that is, if you never want to disappoint people. When we're talking about offers, when we're talking about the point in our copy where we say, this is how much things cost, this is what you get, this is what you need to exceed people's expectations at every stage, at every single stage. And this is true whether you're writing an offer or whether you're constructing an offer, like if you're a business owner. So it was equally true when we were putting together the offer, for instance, for Fix Fest. It's not enough to be the same as everybody else. You have to be better than everybody else and cheaper than everyone else by some distance. You have to surpass people's expectations. You have to set their expectations high and then surpass them. Like, that's absolutely critical for your copy. And the sort of even deeper level of that, I think, is that one thing you should try and do in a piece of copy is the place you start, your headline, the first idea, shouldn't be the absolute zenith of the entire idea. You should start with something, and then as the copy goes on, explain that actually that initial claim I made, that initial promise I made you, that's the story I started with, that's actually just one part of something bigger. It's a kind of iceberg situation. You want, as they get deeper into the copy, for them to realize that there's far more here than they realized. And I think that's a really important lesson in copywriting, because I think too often I see copy that goes in way too high, sets people's expectations at a level that can never be met. And the only way from there is downhill. You can only backslide from there. You can never surpass their expectations. You can never surprise them. And if you do that, you're sort of fighting your way through a sales pitch rather than inviting them into a world and then showing them that actually there's far more here than they realized. And that's what I took from my evening at TGI Fridays, Glenn.
I mean, it pays off the tenuosity of your link from potato wedges to
not wedges. Not wedges.
I specifically said what you got delivered. The dream of potato wedges. No, it's a very valid thing. I've got two questions. I'm going to play like audience and slightly the kind of stalwarts of the industry and the kind of, yeah, but you said this kind of framework, which happens too often. Everything is true and everything is possible. The opposite of a bad idea is not a good idea, and the opposite of a good idea is not necessarily a bad idea. But in this contradictory world, some people, I imagine, and I agree with you, by the way, like I'm a big fan of starting with a really bold claim, but then actually ramping it up. And that's not, the word even is a strong word in copy for a reason. It's like, and it even does this. And you're like, oh my God, that's even more than I expected. That's a great place to be in. However, I'm thinking people go, all right, so if I put my big idea, so I'll let you answer it rather than me already putting the words in your mouth, but some people might interpret that and go, all right, so I don't go with my big idea at the top. I go with like a smaller idea and then I do my big idea later on. But you told me to do the big idea at the top and that needs to be what's going on. Where I'm trying to lead you is it's not necessarily the idea itself, it's the expression of the offer and it's the expression of what you're doing that you're going to be bold, but you leave some room to make it a broader, more impactful thing later in your copy.
Yeah, and also there's several levels you can answer this question, right? But what does a headline do? What's it supposed to do? It's supposed to get your attention so that you want to read more, you want to know more. So you have to select the part of your idea that's the most eye-catching and has the most sort of cut through. It's the difference between getting someone's attention and generating meaning. You know, talking through an idea and explaining and making a case. A headline and the opening of a pitch is about attention. It's about that's the currency that matters there. Can I get your attention enough to talk to you about something that really matters? Then I'm going to start to layer in the meaning and explain the significance of what I'm talking about. So it's those two things. So sometimes the best way to get someone's attention is to make a crazy, bold claim. But there are other ways of getting people's attention. And we don't have to. The great thing about long copy is we're not there to sell you something straight away. We're there to get your attention and start to talk to you. You know, that's our first and arguably our primary job.
Yeah, I think we noticed that just as a side point. We held the financial copywriting bootcamp a little while back. And I think I noticed we said it a couple of times to a couple of different people that they were trying to do so much in their headline and trying to like tell a whole story in like an eyebrow, a piece of deck copy and what have you. And it was all so big and like breathless pieces of copy that you had to chew your way through. And we were trying to explain to people you're there to get someone's attention and intrigue them and interest them enough to read on. You can do a lot of that work later on. You just need to do the right amount here to get people's attention. And it's the same thing of what you're talking about there. I think a lot of people pile in with all of the information. But you see that across email copy, across like adverts and what have you. I think you'd probably see this broadly across a lot of copy, is that people try to pile it all in there, hoping that it's going to have this impact. but actually it doesn't. It just muddles things and makes it noise in itself.
Yeah, that's true. And I guess you might call it idea pacing. Like, how much of my idea do I need to share with you at any given point? So the first job, well, I'd say the first job is understanding why something is a good idea, being able to recognize it. This is really hard, by the way. And most copywriters can't really do that. You can give them a good idea, but they can't work with it because they don't quite understand it. But from there on, it's, well, what parts of this idea should I tell you about first? Well, the things that are going to make you want to hear the rest of the idea. Sorry, I assume your dog is in your room with you because I can see the shadow on the wall behind you.
I thought I was making a note of the next question to ask you, and I thought, oh, sorry, I thought it was going to reach it. But then I've just seen that there is like a Batman-shaped shadow in the thing. Yeah, he is. He's asleep on the couch.
Right, never mind that. So we want to. It's the speed with which we're going to unspool our idea. So it's about sort of selecting which parts and then ordering them. So I'll just give you an example from the financial world. So there was a very, very successful piece of copy about 15 years ago called The End of America. That wasn't the headline, the primary headline. In fact, so now people call it that and they almost imagine that as the headline. But at no point in the opening of the copy, so in the headline or in the lead, did he come out and use those words. I don't even know if the copy ever says those words, but the idea was referred to in the round. What it starts with is something that's just very simple. It's a warning. This message might be controversial and viewer discretion is advised. Then it has this lead.
Essentially, that whole thing, just as an aside on that, was ripped off from like a cue card at a film or like the beginning of a DVD. It was just like, oh, right, that DVD 18 certificate movies have that warning on them. Let's have that on this VSL. That's where that came from. So
that's just suggested what you're about to see is controversial or disturbing or, adult things, whatever it might be. So I'm about to say something that isn't suitable for everybody and maybe should be consumed alone. Then the idea in the lead was about this person who had made a series of correct predictions in the past about how the financial crisis had played out, and then built into this idea that there's a sort of final part of my predictions that's yet to play out. It's about to play out. So it didn't just hit you with the end of America's coming. That is what it explained over the course of the next 40 minutes. And so the deeper into that idea you got, the more you thought, wow, God, this is really, really big. This could be the most significant event ever to take place in America. But it didn't just hit me with that at the top. So now it's a very idiosyncratic piece of copy. It's not necessarily something that I would, suggest you can just do on everything. But the principles of getting someone's attention and then going deeper into an idea, showing them that there's even more here than was first suggested, that there are secrets upon secrets upon secrets. There's depth to this idea. That's really significant in the way that you construct your headline and lead. And then when you come to the offer, this cuts through. You want to write about, let's say something costs $40. Don't write about it like it costs $40. Write about it like it's going to cost $1,000. And I'm going to give you an example of this in action that's incredibly self-referential. If you look at the first invite we ever wrote for the Fix Accelerator group, this did this. And I can tell you why it did it, because multiple people emailed in to say, I was reading it and thinking, there's no way I can afford what they're selling. They were reading, this looks great, this looks great, this looks great. This is going to cost thousands. I don't have the money. That's what they were thinking. So their expectation of the cost was extremely high. When you then say it's £10 a month, $12 a month, you create that situation where, wow, you've surpassed my expectation of what this is going to, I'm getting a great deal now. So to compare it to potato skins, if they'd said you only got 3 and then you got 12 and they were better than you that had been promised, these aren't wedges, they're whole potato skins. There's more here than I had been promised. That's the kind of relationship you want to build with your customer. Of course it is, because it's built on them being surprised in a pleasant way rather than disappointed.
So you gave a good example there whereby you've got a fixed point, the price of something, and that you can adjust your copy around that. So if you've got a £10 product like we had with the Fix Accelerator, you can make the product sound like it's worth thousands. I'd actually argue that it is worth, if not thousands, hundreds at least. It's worth more than the price point, and you can write your copy to do that. My other question, about like that kind of objection about, oh, well, I meant to lead with the big idea. I think we've covered that. But the other main thing that I think people will probably push back on that is, and you've already given one like little clue how you can do that. You can make the copy bigger than the price. But where people might be thinking, well, the fixed point of what I'm offering, so, and I'm talking on a very like technical term basis here, like the offer and the package that you're selling, however you might be selling and whatever it might be, you as the copywriter, especially if you're in a freelance situation, might feel like you're not as in control of being able to delight people's expectations. For example, with FixFest, me and you control it. So if we want to give something away for free, we can do that. We have the power of attorney to do that. If however, I'm hiring a copywriter to do the promo for it, how do they come to me and say, can we offer this? Like, what's your thoughts on that kind of, how would you influence the actual fulfillment offer? A, would you? And B, if so, how would you go about that?
So, I mean, there's two ways of answering that, aren't there? So the sort of shallow way is like give them more stuff and say, hey, you'll get this report that, we could charge $500 for it, but it's free. I would say it's all quite shallow, personally. I mean, you see it plenty, but it's a sort of volume-based thing. This is, we'll just give you some more stuff because we've got loads of stuff. We'll just give you more of it, and now that increases the value. That's not really true. It's true on a very surface level. What I try and think is, why are you charging this much? Like, what goes into the product? So let's say something costs $1,000 a year. Why? And the answer can't be because we want to, or because we think it should be that. Why do you? It's the same set of questions, uncomfortable questions actually, that you have to ask. Just when you're developing why is your product different? Why is it special? And lots of people get very wrapped up. Well, our other stuff costs that and that and that. So this fits into that pricing model. I don't care about the price. Your reader isn't thinking that. They're thinking, why are you charging me so much money? So I'm looking at the input costs, for instance. How many man hours? What other costs do you have to address? Does it cost you $100,000 a year in data? Do you go to conferences? Do you travel? Do you do this? Do you do that? What sort of results do people expect? What's the competition look like? Genuinely, what is the competition that's out there? Is there no competition? Is there lots of competition and therefore we have to benchmark to that? So you're trying to justify that price, and you should do that for everything. You shouldn't just assume that, oh, this is cheap, I don't need to do any of those things. No, you should imagine at the last second someone's going to 10x the price of your product, and the copy can't change. You should imagine, oh crap, they said it was going to be $49, but now they're going to charge $4,000. Oh, I would have written it differently. Well, write it like that to begin with. Get the prospect to see and understand just how valuable it is, so that they are then surprised. And surprise is an important element. Throw something in at the end maybe that they didn't expect. So sometimes, for instance, I'll take let's say a premium report, a gift that might have been part of the offer. And sometimes I say, let's not mention it. So that's actually weakening the copy in some ways because they're getting less stuff. Let's just give it to them as a surprise. It's called a gummy, a thing that you weren't promised, but you get anyway as part of the fulfillment of that product. Surprise them. Do something they weren't expecting. This is the foundation upon which we want to build a relationship with people. I think that's the key thing. Surprise them. Don't sort of trick them, con them, promise them the world and then give them less. And that's the issue with making a big claim. If the claim probably won't come true, then they'll probably be disappointed.
And finally, Nick, when will you in 30 years' time again revisit TGI Fridays, or is that the end of your relationship with that particular company?
I think, and it's just like we're sort of not sponsored. We've been sponsored by the competition. This is corporate plug. No, I won't be going back. It was pretty dreadful, to be honest.
But you are now in an open relationship with Frankie and Benny's.
Yeah, we'll be trying them all. I mean, it was definitely not what it was when I was a kid. Definitely not. I'm sure it was better in the 90s. Let's be fair. Everything in the world now is a rip-off. But the price of everything is so high that you expect to be ripped off, which, by the way, we can lean into when we're creating offers. We can try and be the people that offer good value every now and again. But no, I won't be going back. To be honest, I just felt like we should have taken the kids to McDonald's, and then I could have gone out for a pint when we got home, and that would have been everyone would have.
I went back to Cleethorpes at the weekend, and we went to get some chips because it's the best chips in the world or whatever. Asked for a cone of chips, gave me them in a tray, and then said to me, had the audacity to say, "Cone of chips," holding out a tray of chips. And I thought, what are we just denying reality? You've given me a tray of chips. I asked for a cone. I wanted nostalgia, and you've given me a tray. You have given me a tray.
That's going in the fix canon of Glenn phrases, which involves you being in the bath, stuff to do with your toilet habits, and now settling down.
Well, I think on one of our accelerator calls, which we do on a Friday, to do a strange plug that would actually make you not want to join Accelerator and join us on Friday. But my takeaway phrase was "shit in, shit out." I think was the which made sense to me at the time.
Well, I'm going to put some context around that. The phrase you meant to say was "you are what you eat," but for some reason.
I don't know if it was that. It was something. It was more than that. It was a more literary thing. But anyway, to find out more about that, you'll have to join us on the Accelerator, which is now £1,000. Ironically, it's not. It's £10 for now. We don't know how long. Anyway, thank you, Nick. Enjoy McDonald's.
Yeah. Well, talking about McDonald's, that really is shit in, shit out. And on that note, I suggest we say goodbye to everybody.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
If you enjoy The Fix and want to get access to even more good stuff, join the Fix Accelerator today. Get access to special masterclasses from Nick and me, watch expert interviews with industry legends, join live copy feedback sessions every week, and get connected to our very own private copy network. Visit thefixaccelerator.com for more information.